Welcome to Putz Parcel. My name is Lisa. Let's get dirty. Well, it's been a while since I've put a video up on YouTube. For whatever reason, they're not uploading. It keeps kicking them off. We keep trying to upload them again. So we have a lot of catching up to do. I'm not quite sure where we left off, but here's some of my container plants. There's zucchini and 8-ball and a bush patio plant starting to die off. Here are some of my fall seedlings. Those guys just germinated. Here's some of that a little more mature. Oh, look, I got a zucchini. That'll be the third one, which is pretty good for me. I have lots of trouble with vine borers and squash bugs, so I was hoping planting in containers I would avoid that. I have been keeping my baby seedlings covered. I did a video before about starting fall plants and how I do that outside, and I keep them in the shade. But the birds are striking again, and they pulled a bunch of my first plantings out, so I'm just using a piece of tool and I tuck that in around. The older seedlings I have started transplanting out into the in-ground garden. If this is your first time here, I'm just your average backyard in-ground gardener, and I'm just here to show you what I do and do what works for you. All right, here are my container plants, some more of them. These are sweet potato vine, and up top here I have yard-long beans, Chinese noodle beans, asparagus beans. I've heard them called all those things. These aren't quite mature enough for me. I like them to be a little bit thicker before I pull them. If they're about the width of a pencil, they're usually ready to go. There's some baby peppers, a current plant I still haven't dug into the garden. There's another pepper and another pepper. These guys are almost ripe enough to pull off. They're still pretty green around the back. Here's some cilantro that seeded itself. Because this container is in the shade, I'm assuming it's growing, because cilantro doesn't usually like hot temperatures. Here's some cosmos. I got these in late, so I hope they bloom soon. I do have some on the other side starting to bloom. There's some Thai basil. The red beet gone mad. Looks like he's got 2 legs. Can't get in there. There we go. My pick of, what are these called? They're raspberries. They're manufactured, engineered for container gardening. They have no thistles, whatever they are. They did wonderful this year. Where I ripped out some early plantings. I believe I had lettuces in here. I replaced those with bush beans. They're flowering nicely, so hopefully I will soon, oh, there's a teeny tiny baby bush bean right there. Hopefully I'll soon be picking beans off of them, and I believe the majority of these plants are a yellow wax bean, because I didn't get any of those in the in-ground gardener. We're just gonna quickly go through here. Patio tomatoes, more cosmos. Now there is the cilantro that's starting to bolt. Bolting means it's going to flower. The plant's job is to manufacture seed and keep the lineage of the plant going. Some more of my cherry tomatoes. I don't remember what variety this is. These are larger than a cherry tomato, even a little bit bigger than a cocktail tomato. Here's my sunrise bumblebee. They are just so beautiful. These will get a little bit darker than this one I'm pointing out here, and then they are so sweet and delicious. Some more green beans, a mini pepper. There's another one starting to ripen, and I believe that is a cubanelle. I'm gonna come on over here to the herb garden. Some mint, chives and basil, sage, calendula, lavender, some chamomile, some catnip, more mint and basil, parsley, Some flowers that haven't seeded yet. Some dill that has done its job and has seed heads. That is a hot pepper. Some cosmos over there. Some yellow cosmos. Yellowish orange that have bloomed. There's sweet alyssum, oregano, and marjoram growing in there. These petunias I grew from seed. They're Baker Creek. They're so pretty. The pack I got has a bunch of different colors in it, but they are just lovely. All right, give me a minute. We're gonna head out to the in-ground garden. All right, coming in hot. You see my slicer tomatoes are starting to ripen. This is the giant crimson I got from M.I. Gardner. I believe I've gotten 2 ripe tomatoes off. And if I can, I'll get out tomorrow morning and get that guy off, or at least sometime tomorrow. We're supposed to be getting some really intense storms on Monday. So I definitely want to get it off before Monday so it doesn't crack. Which way do I want to go? I still have borage, but it's starting to die off. There's another beautiful cherry tomato. These are my Jersey Devils. I have never grown them before, but they're supposed to be great for sauce making. I believe that is an old German. Thornboard terracotta. And this giant beast is called a Mexican midget, of all things. And it gets teeny tiny little cherry tomatoes on it. They're not as small as spoon tomatoes, but they are pretty little. Here I've got red beets and carrots. This is a cucumber gone wild. It's a silver slicer. I've wanted to grow those for several years, and this is the first year I actually bought seed. It has been the most productive cucumber I've ever had. Some more carrots. This was an Armenian cucumber. Not sure what happened to it. Armenian cucumbers are actually a melon, but they can be used like cucumber because they taste similar to cucumbers. I was hoping that they would be super productive because they are very long, but that didn't turn out. Here is my Marketmore tomato. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. I did put some diatomaceous earth on, so that might be the white stuff, because I was seeing some cucumber beetles again. I had taken care of those earlier. They were eating my green beans. That's definitely diatomaceous earth that got wet. And some of this is starting to die off. I'm not sure what's going on there. I've gotten pretty many cucumbers off of this Marketmore, but not near as many as I've gotten off of the silver slicer. The silver slicer plant is really pretty healthy yet. Maybe a little bit of sign of disease or damage from the cucumber beetle. Let's move on. Here are my cantaloupes. Again, that's diatomaceous earth. I put that on there. See if we can find one. Oh, down there's one. I don't remember what variety I put here. But going down this way, I did put Minnesota midgets, which are very small. Let's see if we can find one of those. Oh, there's a fuzzy little guy. So there's pretty many in there. Behind that mess, the lovely mess it is, here is a tomato plant that seeded itself. It is a large cherry variety. I don't know where it came from. I had a volunteer plant last year. I did not plant them the year before that, so it must be a present from a bird, but it has seeded itself again. In there is celery. I have pole beans, volunteer sunflowers, my strawberry patch. There is zucchini rampicante. I got one off of there so far. It is similar to zucchini, has a little bit of a different taste. I think it has a more solid texture. Let me get back through the jungle here. I am still picking dragon tug bush beans. It's the row on the left. And my first row of green bush beans called Tema. Shut down for about a week and a half, and it's just starting to flower again. Been getting a handful or two off every once in a while. This is my popcorn. Okay. I'm 5'2". The tallest guy's in there. Got to be at least 9 foot tall. And here's some calendula I planted late, and a zinnia. Zinnias you can actually plant late. I had tried to get parsnips to germinate in here, but that didn't work. Planted them twice. It must have just been too hot. Parsnip seeds, when it's hot, you have to keep them wet enough for them to germinate. Here's the last cabbage I still have out. It's a pretty big guy. Here's my hand on it. This does not do it justice. So it's about 1, 2, 3, 6 of my hands. 5, 6 of my hands. Some miscellaneous red beets. Some red cabbage. And this parsley is new. This was my brassica bed for spring. I've pretty much cleaned out everything that was here, other than the cabbage and the red beets. The parsley is new. I just planted that. Still trying to get itself established. I find this mushroom soil gets really dry, so I have to water regularly, like every day, to keep this as moist as I need to keep it for new seedlings. Behind me, of course, I have yet my Brussels sprouts and about 13 or 14 different variety of peppers. I have gotten some peppers. There's a nasturtium. Nasturtiums are edible, the flowers and the leaves. They can also be dried for tea, which I do that. I didn't plant a lot of them this year just because I put so much food in the garden. I really didn't have room. Okay, over where I had the peas, I planted, let me get a little closer, more bush beans. The one variety on this side closest to me was called purple teepee. I forget what the other variety is that I planted. I think it was Provider. And then down the middle here, if I can part the ways, I planted baby corn. A baby corn is just that. It's baby corn. This is my first attempt. I know it's late, but I'm hoping it'll produce before it gets cold. I think it said it takes 75 to 90 days. But with baby corn, it can produce up to 40 ears per stalk. And 5 days, I believe, after the silk appears, you want to start harvesting them. My onions are starting to die back. You want to at least wait until they flop over like this and the neck kind of breaks, because that means the onion isn't going to grow anymore. I have started pulling some out and using them as I pull them, but these guys are just going to be fine staying in the ground there. So this is where my peas were. I also made a teepee here in the middle and put my favorite variety of pole beans, which I call Beth's beans because I got them from my friend Beth. They don't have a name. And then there's my fennel. I flopped him over so I could get into that brassica bed. I replanted some red beets. I had gotten some heat-tolerant lettuces to germinate. These are old guys from spring. They're going to seed, and I'm going to let them. But here's a new lettuce. I was also successful in getting some more carrots to germinate in the heat. More lettuce. I believe that's a romaine. And even more carrots. There's a rutabaga. And red beets and more red beets. All right, so here was my other spring brassica bed, and at this end, I had planted garlic 2 years in a row. So this year I decided I'm gonna switch and plant my garlic at that end. And I didn't leave myself very much room. But what I did with the 2 brassica beds from spring is where they were empty, I left them rest. I put on them granulated all-purpose fertilizer, and then a few weeks ago we went and got more mushroom soil and I added that to the top of the beds. I didn't rake it in, I didn't do anything special. I just threw the new compost on top of the old compost. All right, so earlier today, I did this without you. I started planting my fall brassicas. So on this end, I planted 4 Romanesco plants. I love Romanesco. It's very difficult to find, I've tried to grow it before, but this apparently is a variety that will tolerate some heat because Romanesco likes cool weather, and my cool weather season isn't long enough, or it's too cold, but I have not been successfully been able to get it to grow. So I have my fingers crossed for this year. Okay, back down here there are 3 plants of amazing cauliflower. Earlier in the year I got a 4.5 pound amazing cauliflower. Then I planted purple of Sicily, green Macerata. I don't know, I'll check on that, how that's spelled. Can't read my own writing on my tag. So there's 3 plants of that. There's 1 Copenhagen cabbage, 1 Wakefield cabbage, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Deciso broccoli plants. So for planting these, I didn't do anything special because, like I said, I put granulated fertilizer on the top, put new compost on top of that. If it were spring and I wasn't adding the fresh compost, I might put some other amendments in with them, but I did not. I also planted these pretty deeply, and some of them I even mounded the compost up around them a little bit because they had gotten quite leggy. I had started these outside. The birds started attacking. The ones that are left I took inside, so they weren't getting the right amount of light because I wasn't running my grow lights inside. And then when they got a little bit bigger, I brought them back outside and covered them with that fabric tool that I showed you earlier. So they did get a bit leggy, so I buried them deep, and hopefully that will help things out. And I will need to be watering this. For now, I will just water. Maybe in a couple days to a week, depending on how much rain we get. I will add some fish emulsion to my watering cans and give them some fertilizer. Some of the leaves are looking a little sad, so we'll want to perk them up. But hopefully now that they're in the ground, the roots will start spreading and they will take off. So what are we going to do now? I need to plant fall plants in this bed. Okay, so I grabbed my handy dandy hoary and I grabbed some trays of seedlings, which are not marked, but I believe these are some variety of broccoli. So for broccoli, my hoary is 5, maybe 10 inches long. I'm not going to give that parsley too much room because I want to get broccoli, and my broccoli harvest for spring was very sad. My heads were very small. I did get some side shoots, but not many. So I really need to get a decent broccoli harvest for fall. So I planted a lot of broccoli plants. So I just made a hole with my hori. These plants are about 10, 20, 30 inches wide. I'm gonna make another one across from that, and then I'm gonna come up here in the middle about 10 inches and make another one. Oh, now Lisa, you're planting those way too close. So what I'm doing is planting on center. If I were a commercial farmer and I was growing an entire field of broccoli, I would not plant them this close. I would plant them in rows 3 feet apart, and the plants 18 inches apart, etc., etc. They have lovely little machines that do that. Planting machines. But I'm a little homegrown gardener, backyard gardener. I'm not growing an entire field of broccoli, even though I would enjoy growing an entire field of broccoli. So I'm going to plant on center. So I've got enough room here for 5 plants until I run into this cabbage. So I got to decide what I'm doing with this red cabbage. That head's looking kind of nice. They're a little bit small. I don't know what this one's doing. It's not very tight, so he'll probably just go in the compost. I'll probably pull that out. I did pull out a tropic giant plant earlier. I had it in the other bed and it split. I was gone for a very short time, 2 days, that I hadn't checked on it. In those 2 days it split, which kind of made me sad. So now I've got to use that pretty quickly. I've already made 6 quarts and I believe 11 pints of sauerkraut. So my daughter and I were talking about other things we can make with the cabbage. I do cook it with noodles. I do stir fry it. But I think we're going to try fried cabbage. So I'll be looking forward to that. All right, so let's plant one of these puppies. So these are pretty wet. I'm just going to pull them out for now and plop them where I want them. Like I said, I think these are broccoli. So this guy didn't want to come out, so all I did is, I got a fly in my ear, that's lovely. Came down to the bottom, gave the bottom a little squeeze. Sorry, flies back. On both sides, and it loosened right up. I know some people rip those little cell trays, but I save them and I reuse them as many times as I can. Take that out of there. Give it a squeeze. Here's what I'm talking about. These guys got a little twisty and leggy. They're kind of wrapping around each other. Just be gentle with them. They'll be fine. This is one I pulled out. I'm just gonna plop those where I made the holes. Now this cell has 2 plants in it. I'm gonna leave them. Would it behoove me to probably get rid of one of them? Yep. But it's okay. My garden, my rules. Your garden, your rules. And that one there, I'm not sure what the heck he's doing. I don't know if it's worth trying to plant it or not. I'll think about it. Alright, so all 5 of those broccoli plants are in the hole. We'll start with this one here, and then I'm going to go do the other 4. So I want that a little deeper, just because he's all twisty and curly. Alright, down he goes, and I'm going to bury him as high up as I can. It's not going to hurt these plants to bury them deeply. They are not going to grow roots along the stem like tomato plants will. But if you don't cover your plants like I do, there is some kind of little insect that can get down into the base of your plants and kill them. But I'm doing it more for stability. I want them to stand upright. It will make harvesting them easier. So that's it. I'm going to do the other 4. See you in a minute. Okay, so here is that small cabbage head. I just pulled the entire plant out, and there's the one that didn't really produce. So now I have this other whole area to plant, and I'm just going to continue with the pattern I have here, spacing the plants about 10 inches on center. So another one will go here, another one will go here, and another one over there at the point of my hori. There's another little baby's nasturtium. Gonna let that one there. Oh, back here behind me, I forgot to show you these. I have some green onions growing. Like something was chewing at that one. It's really short. Alright, so I'm gonna continue on and see how far I get. Alright, so it looks like I'm gonna have plenty of room to get this little guy in. He might make it, he might not, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 broccoli plants in so far, and I still have all this glorious room. Alright, let me get this guy in, and I believe I have 2 more plants. I think I'm done catching you up. So, thanks for joining me in... Oh, no, wait. Nope, forget that. I wanted to tell you some totals of things I've gotten out of the garden so far. I try to keep track of what I store up in the freezer and what I can. So I've already shared with you the sauerkraut totals, and that was from one 14-pound head, a little more than 14 pounds. I have put up 9 pints of pickled beets. I've put 24 quarts of green beans in the freezer. I got 35 large heads of garlic, and I got 44 pounds of potatoes. All right. It's the first week of August. I think I have you all caught up now. My name is Lisa. Thank you for joining me in Putz Parcel. Go get those hands dirty.